When you think of a Pixar movie, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? The misunderstood flick from A Bug's Life? The hilarious antics of Toy Story's Woody and Buzz? Or how about the tear-jerking scenes in Up? We all love Pixar movies, and we also love to hate their villains. Pixar has given us classic villains that define what makes a great on-screen antagonist. Let's take a look at the fates of the most evil villains. Lotso Huggin' Bear, aka Lotso, is the main antagonist of the 2010 animated film Toy Story 3. He is a large magenta-pink strawberry-scented teddy bear who ruled Sunnyside Daycare with an iron fist, a villain made from heartbreak. Lotso was Daisy's favorite toy. However, Lotso and two other toys, Big Baby and Chuckles, were left at a rest stop when Daisy fell asleep during a family trip. The three waited for her return, but she never came back for them. Eventually, they made their way back to Daisy's house, only to discover that they'd been replaced. He let his negative feelings get the best of him, and a villain was born. I bet we weren't the only ones that fell for his caring, welcoming, friendly act. Viewers were shocked to discover that Lotso was imprisoning new toys in the Caterpillar room where they suffered the reckless young toddlers. His main goal? Sever all toys' emotional bonds to their owners. Even after being saved by Woody and Buzz in the landfill, he shows no mercy. When given the option to save the day, he gives the helpless toys a menacing grin, shouts a final insult, and runs off. Luckily for them, the little green men rescue them before they can be engulfed in flames. His fate? Tied up on a garbage truck's front grille. Fun fact, Lotso makes a cameo appearance in Pixar's Up. In the scene where Carl flies his house over an apartment building, he is seen laying against a wall in a little girl's room. The main antagonist of Disney/Pixar's Up is Charles F. Muntz, a famous explorer admired by Carl Fredricksen and his late wife Ellie as children. So how did he go from being an explorer to a villain? In the movie, Muntz found a tropical bird skeleton in South America, but the scientific community claimed it was fake. Insulted, Charles F. Muntz searched South America for a living example of the same species, traveling in a zeppelin with his many pet dogs who wore special collars that allowed them to speak. Muntz's quest for the bird that caused his disgrace turned into a never-ending obsession. Now a ghost of his former self, he became a heartless man consumed by bitterness, paranoid to the extreme, and convinced that anyone who comes across him is after the bird. His fate? When Muntz leaps out of the window to attack them, he gets his right foot caught in the strings of some balloons, causing him to fall thousands of feet. Next up, Randall Boggs. One of the two main antagonists in Pixar's 2001 animated film Monsters, Inc., he is notoriously envious of James B. Sullivan, the most beloved scarer in Monsteropolis. Randall Boggs leaves the monster world after being caught by Sully for taking Boo. He gets thrown through an active door while desperately begging them not to do it and ends up in a trailer home in the middle of a swamp in the south, where he is beaten senseless by a Cajun family with shovels, thinking Randall is an alligator. Sully shatters the door's glass light and tips it over the railing. It smashes on the floor far below, thus ensuring that Randall cannot return through that door. Randall's fate is one of Pixar's worst, but does he die? For those wondering what became of him, thanks to the comics and video games, it's been revealed that he returned to the monster world within a year. He is reformed, but still quite devious. Another devious Pixar villain is Syndrome, the main antagonist in Pixar's 2004 film The Incredibles, and like most, he was once a good guy. He originally wanted to be Mr. Incredible's sidekick, but when the superhero rejected his offer, Syndrome became intensely resentful towards his former idol and took it out on superheroes in general. Syndrome devoted his life to killing all superheroes and devised a plan to sell weapons to the public, thinking that if everyone could be considered super, nobody would be. Syndrome is an eccentric villain, and his funny lines are a major source of humor in the movie. And his fate? Syndrome's cape gets tangled in the spinning propellers and he is yanked back into the jet engine, causing an explosion that tears the plane apart. Syndrome seems to disappear in the flames, putting an end to his campaign against the Incredibles, and avenging Gazer Beam and all the other supers he killed. The next villain dies not only once, but twice in the same film. Coco is one of Pixar's greatest movies, and it just so happens to feature a fantastic villain in Ernesto de la Cruz. He lives his entire life as a lie, happily poisoning his best friend and then living a life of luxury because of it. There's nothing Cruz won't do to protect his secrets. He needs to make sure he is seen as the greatest star of all time, and that desperation is a scary prospect. His first death came in 1942 when he was crushed by a falling stage bell while singing "Remember Me" to an audience of millions. His spirit went to the land of the dead. In earlier drafts of the film, Ernesto de la Cruz was intended to be a more obvious villain in a similar vein to Hopper and Chick Hicks. After the idea was scrapped, it was decided that he should appear as a less villainous figure. He was given a grandfatherly appearance and charming personality to make his true nature unsuspected. Now that he's about to lose everything, he targets Miguel. He eventually gets what he deserves when Pepita emerges from the curtains ready to punish him for everything he put the family through when he murdered Hector. Pepita then tosses Ernesto into the air and swats him out of the arena with her tail. Sending the disgraced and reviled fraud hurtling into a bell tower, he smacks face first into an iron bell and falls underneath, echoing his original death. One of Pixar's older movies, A Bug's Life might be overlooked at times, but there's no doubt that Hopper is one of the scariest villains ever to appear on screen. Hopper is the leader of the Grasshoppers and Flick's sworn enemy. Hopper thinks nothing of killing ants, whom he considers lower than dirt. His ruthlessness makes him a difficult enemy to conquer. Though a villain, Hopper is a man of his word. He promises his mother that he would not murder his brother Molt, and despite Molt's constant irritating, Hopper never broke that promise. Could that be considered a redeeming quality? After the ants tricked him with a fake bird, he taunted one when trying to kill Flick, thinking it was another prank. When Hopper realizes that this bird is the real one, he tries to flee but is cornered and snatched up by the bird. The evil villain meets his death when the bird feeds him to her baby chicks. Did you know Hopper was the first Pixar villain to die? We're heading back to Toy Story again for another famous baddie, Sid. Andy constantly treated his toys with love and care. Sid, on the other hand, continually tortured his. His idea of fun is terrorizing his little sister Hannah by taking her toys away and using them for scary experiments like switching their heads or performing operations on them. He was about to destroy Buzz when, in an attempt to save him, the toys appeared out of nowhere, approaching Sid and making him increasingly scared. Woody then told Sid to take care of his toys because they would know if he didn't. Not fatal, but definitely life-changing when he learned that the toys were really alive. It gave him such a fright he vowed to change his ways. It can be argued that Sid is not truly a villain since he did not know the toys were alive when destroying them. However, since the film takes place from the toys' perspective, we'll deem him the antagonist. Ending the list with a bang, Thunderclap. Thunderclap is a fearsome pterosaurus who leads a gang of vicious dinosaurs. Thunderclap used to be frightful of the world around him. This changed when he was caught in a storm, which no longer made him afraid. Thunderclap had a revelation. The storm saved his life, and so he must follow it, become one with it. The experience made him obsessed with the storm's power, turning him into a sadistic scavenger who feeds on other animals caught in the storm. Thunderclap is relentless and savage when it comes to prey that manages to escape him, going as far as to pursue them until he can devour them. Arlo defends Spot from Thunderclap and his followers, knocking 2 of them into the river and crushing 2 others under a tree. Thunderclap then tries to kill Spot, but Arlo gives out a true roar. Spot takes advantage of the distraction and climbs on his wing, ripping it. Now, Thunderclap can no longer fly properly, but he attempts to escape anyway. Arlo throws a large stick at him, causing Thunderclap to crash into the treacherous river below. All in all, Pixar villains seem to get what they deserve in the end. Who is your favorite antagonist? Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.